So what you do is you create your own curriculum that is above and beyond what is handed to you. And I think about what was handed to me education-wise and how I kind of blew it. And I talk about that in the book. There's a whole chapter on creating your own curriculum. It was based on a tweet this guy did. Frank Fleming said that if you actually took all the education time, 16 years of education, and kind of curated what you wanted to do, you would be Batman. 16 years of like martial arts, philosophy, languages, or economics, you would be Batman. But instead you have 16 years of education and you're applying for jobs, in pharmaceutical sales, and you're hoping you will get that job.
All right, Gutfeld, look, you wrote a book. You wrote a book here. This is what, your 27th book? How many books now?
Yes. This is book number 9. Or what I like to say, I like to say it's 8 more than yours, Dave. 8 more books than yours. I can't even see your first book. It's so early. It's like, call me when you're on your 5th book.
Then I can get the patches on my elbows and the whole thing and be an esteemed writer like you.
You'll be like Judd Hirsch in Ordinary People.
You are going into your sort of J.D. Salinger phase, though, of life, I can tell, because you've got your house in the undisclosed location in the woods. You occasionally tweet pictures. You're on a lake surrounded by trees and things. Yes. You're sort of going into that. You're thought of as a cable news guy, but what really drives you is the desire to be off the grid, hidden in the woods. True or false?
I believe that I was self-distancing before it was cool. I don't know what it was. It was because I was younger, I was more social, but I have no desire. Like, you know me, when you're in New York, it is impossible to even get me out of my apartment.
Literally.
And and then you end up, yes. And I made you come to my apartment when it was destroyed, because I would rather sit in my apartment that had just been flooded than actually like, oh, Dave's going, meet me at this restaurant. I go, I don't really feel like it. But I stay,
every time I'm like, Greg, name the restaurant. It's on me, whatever you want, grass-fed this. You're like, could you just come to my place? I have one beer.
Yes. I'm not that bad. I always have booze. But we did go to Del Frisco's. Remember?
We did go to Del Frisco's.
Across from Fox.
That was nice.
You and your brother. Right. Nice guy.
Yeah.
So that was your brother, right? You told me that was your brother. Yeah, okay.
I claimed it was my brother. He says he's my brother. I'm not sure. No, but let's talk about the quarantine stuff a little bit, because in your book, I guess you added the preface after you wrote the whole thing, because then you wanted to address the quarantine stuff, and they let you jam it in there?
Yeah, it was interesting because we had to have a discussion whether something in the news ends up branding your book, or should your book be above it all. So the book's going to bed, and all this stuff is happening, and the book itself is about a collective response to crap in your life so that we all share the risk and be better people. And this thing is happening, and I'm going, this has to go in the book, because all of the things in the book, the collective response, prison of two ideas, unbending minds, blaming and forgiveness, all fit. You could all point all of these tips in that direction. And but there were people going, yeah, but you don't want to be a pandemic book. And I go, well, you know what? If this book had come out in 2016, we would be talking about the Trump election. If it had been coming out in 2012, it would be Obama. Or if it came out in 2001, it would be 9/11. So you can't ignore reality. So I put it in there, and it's weird. All the chapters in this book are dealing with crap that happened later. Like even the riots in all this. Like, so I talk about social media. I talk about marginalization, demonization, all this stuff, and it's like everything is happening. And it makes it kind of scares me, because I'm trying to be positive, and the book is trying to be positive. But we're in a time where we're not sure if we can be positive anymore. No. Well, nobody's sure of anything. But I will go on the record, Gutfeld, as saying that if anyone watching this enjoyed "Don't Burn This Book," they will dig the plus, because actually a lot of the themes. I mean, this is why we do so much stuff together lately. A lot of the themes that both of us care about,
related to free speech, what's happening at the colleges, trying to keep some semblance of Western society organized, maintaining a sense of humor through it all. That really is what the thrust of this is about. But on the self-help side, do you sense that people over the last 4 months, that there's going to be like, when this thing is done, if it's ever done, that there will be a real split where it'll be like some people really will have gotten their lives in order, lost weight, learned how to cook, started new hobbies, et cetera, et cetera. And then there will be this other set of people that will have just like completely lost control of their lives.
And I know both sides of that equation. It's kind of like it's like the education argument that like you could just go to high school, check in and check out, and you come out worse, or you can be that kid that goes, "Oh, I want to do this. I want to go. I'm going to be like the Dana Perino. I'm going to join the speech and debate club because that's going to make me better. And then I'm going to go play with field hockey. I'm trying to think of sports, but I mean, it's like
lacrosse.
You create lacrosse. Thank you. So what you do is you create your own curriculum that is above and beyond what is handed to you. And I think about what was handed to me education-wise and how I kind of blew it. And I talk about that in the book. There's a whole chapter on creating your own curriculum. It was based on a tweet this guy did. Frank Fleming said that if you actually took all the education time, 16 years of education, and kind of curated what you wanted to do, you would be Batman. 16 years of like martial arts, philosophy, languages, or economics, you would be Batman. But instead you have 16 years of education and you're applying for jobs, in pharmaceutical sales, and you're hoping you will get that job because you did not think about it like, what an incredible opportunity. So that's how I started thinking about the pandemic. Is like, okay, the cards that are being dealt are limiting everything. Like I can't go to the gym, which I've been going for 40 years, I guess, to the gym like every week for 40 years, and that's over. And I know how much I eat. I eat a buttload of food. So this is not going to end well for me. Also, I tend to, I like drinking, and I'm going to be home a lot. And all of these variables are pointing in a terrible direction for me. And then I thought, well, what if I decided to create like to quote Scott Adams, a system rather than goals? And so I like cut out the starches and the carbohydrates, and then it's like get a bike and get up every morning and start early, and also I get up every morning and walk before I exercise, and I just to get sunlight, all this stuff, and all of a sudden it's just like it made me. It's like I went to school to become a better person, which was weird because that's what the book's about. The book was about becoming better at being you, which is hard.
It's kind of interesting. Well, it's kind of interesting because
how can you become a better Dave Rubin?
Well, I mean, I've done it. You know what I mean? What you're going through right now is where I was a year ago. You'll get to the perfect place, Greg. Come on, and I'm gonna help you get there.
Thank you.
But it is kind of interesting because you wrote the book obviously before the pandemic. Then you add this part about the pandemic. But yeah, what you were writing about and sort of getting your life together really kind of is what you're trying to show for other people. But that kind of reminds me, you wrote a piece on foxnews.com about a year ago about how people can educate themselves outside of the system. You can learn from Jordan Peterson. You can go on YouTube and learn from biologists and chemists and all of those things. Does that strike you, the fact that young people still, even now as we watch colleges collapse, does it seem just completely crazy to you that they're still putting all that money in on that experiment?
Yeah. There needs to be, okay, so there's that old experiment that we see is failing, and it looks like the pandemic is going to push it online and elsewhere. And then here is the perfect thing, which is to have, shows like yours or YouTube, anything on YouTube, like you getting a biology class from Bret Weinstein or getting a philosophy class with Jordan Peterson. But the instructors have to be really good. It can't just be like YouTube where you, like I get stuck in a YouTube black hole looking for guitar instruction. And so it's like how to play rockabilly guitar. So I hit that. It's 30 minutes and the guy's talking for 8 minutes and he's just talking, he's holding his guitar, and it's like, I can't do this. I need like somebody who's an instructor. And I think that's the only missing point, because you have the vehicle, you have YouTube, you've got the internet, and you have the desire, the people to want to do this. You have the pandemic that is forcing people in this direction. All that's missing is the stylistic, charismatic instructor. And I go back to Peloton every time. What Peloton did to gyms is what instructors are going to do to college. So I no longer need to go to a gym again because the Peloton instructor is so amazing, so smart, and so authentic. And I love this girl, Hannah Frankson. She's British. I get up every morning and she gets me on that bike, and it's what she's done is she's taken the product and she's delivered it to you in the best way possible. That's the way. There has to be colleges that start up with that model that says, okay, you need great professors, and they got to be funny, they got to be smart, they got to be not bad looking. Everybody in Peloton's great looking, and they're funny, and so I think that's the Peloton model for education is going to be the solution for all of this. And I think that Scott Adams said this to me before in an interview, that it's like this is the step that's necessary, is to get likable, talented, persuasive people to be the instructor. And so now you're going to get those people leaving these colleges, but there has to be something to come to, and it's got to be like Jordan Peterson teaches introduction to apologetics or whatever.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.